admit people as they come in. We have 69 participants. For those that don't know me, I'm Roger Meyer. I'm the adjutant quartermaster for the department. And I'm the person who sends you all those emails all the time. We are doing our first of the beginning of some statewide Zoom meetings. We're calling them roundups because that's what national refers to them as, with everybody across the state to get out information and give you a little bit of a chance to do some question and answers. So before we get started, I wanted to do some basic ground rules for the Zoom meeting. I will ask that everybody please put yourself on mute when you are not called upon to talk. That way we don't get background noise, and sometimes you get some feedback. So if you please put yourself on mute. If you have a question, please try to use your raise your hand function. As it stands right now, I have 3 pages of pictures. So if you raise your hand like this in the screen, I won't be able to see it if you're on page 2 or page 3. You can also use the chat function to go ahead and send a question forward. And we'll call on you if we need further explanation. In order to activate the chat, you need to click on the toolbar down at the bottom. It also helps if you click on participants, so that will activate your raise hand feature. Please do not talk over somebody else. We will call on you. We will call on you when I notice your hand, and I will try to take questions in order best I can. So without further ado, I am going to let the state commander go ahead and give his opening remarks.
Good evening, commanders. How y'all doing?
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for joining us tonight. I mean, this is our first attempt to trying to get the word directly out to our post leaders. So this is the first time that we're doing this. So have some patience with us, but we're going to try to get you some good information tonight. You know, as many of you know, our organization is experiencing something that we've never had to deal with before, and that's this coronavirus pandemic and the closures of all of our posts statewide that have curtailed our activities somewhat. But we're hoping this Zoom call can help pass on some information directly to each of you to make things a little bit easier. We're going to cover a few items that are important, and hopefully at the end we can answer some questions. And then joining us today is our state senior vice commander, Dusty Napier, and our junior vice commander, Marty Yingling. So we're all going to be here to talk to you, answer questions, and just provide you some just general information of things going on in the department as of basically today that we have to pass on. So thank you, Roger. Go ahead.
All right. Hopefully you got the agenda that we sent out. We're going to try to stick to that predominantly. If we have these, or when we have these in the future, if there's something particular you'd like to bring up, if you let me know, we will add it to the list. So first thing we want to discuss, we want to go into the post resiliency. And what we're talking about is the adaptation to the COVID-19 restrictions. We have been getting some of the COVID post-relief applications in, and we'll be processing those this week. But we have posts out there during COVID that are actually thriving versus kind of just curling up and using COVID as an excuse not to do anything. Exactly. And so we kind of wanted to discuss a little bit about, you know, you still have certain obligations during this time. National has come out and provided the use of teleconferencing, video conferencing, like we're using to conduct business during this time, and we need to use it. They are still enforcing section 203 of the bylaws, which states you have to have a monthly meeting for your post. If you're not having monthly meetings, you need to start figuring it out and get those monthly meetings in and conduct business. So I'm gonna turn it over to John. You wanted to talk more on this subject, so kind of the introduction to it.
Yeah, thank you, Roger. Well, I've traveled around the state a little bit this year during the COVID situation, and we do have some posts out there that have, adapted and tried to work within the rules to keep their post afloat. I think we've lost 4 or 5 posts this year. Roger, you can correct me. We have a couple that are having financial difficulties, and I think if you're not aware, we have 2 grants available. One from our foundation at the Department of California, and then we have there's another grant available from the National Foundation. If you're not aware of those, that information is available on our department website. But what I wanted to talk about is basically what we found just doing some travels so far this year is a lot of our posts that do not have post homes, or particularly those that do not have canteens, have been flourishing during this pandemic. A lot of our posts have rallied and came up with ways to conduct their Buddy Poppy drives, go out and do some recruiting and do other, membership related things, either virtually or in person in some cases. But a lot of our posts that have canteens, they are suffering some financial situations because of the canteens. We also find that a lot of our posts that have canteens, where some of them were struggling before the pandemic, and they're now really struggling because they have been closed. So we just wanted to, talk to you about a couple things. One is that we're trying to work with the state government to try to change the governor's perception on why he closed our post. And he closed us because we were considered canteens and we had liquor licenses, but really we're post homes that do a lot of other things. So we're working on that and trying to do some things. We got the grant monies available for those that need to send in something, but really what we want to just communicate to you is this is an opportunity for all of us to think outside the box and not let this pandemic stifle us from doing what we need to do. So, but like I said, there's a lot of posts out there that are doing some great things. I mean, a couple posts in San Diego raised almost $16,000 in Buddy Poppy Drive in one weekend during the pandemic. We have other posts that are doing virtual poppy drives. A lot of our posts have adapted their post homes and are serving meals outside to keep things going. So there's a lot of things going on right now. So just, again, this is not something that we wished for. It's just something we have to deal with. So just have patience with us, and we're going to try to work through a lot of this. That's all I really wanted to say there, Roger. And I don't know if Dusty or Marty wanted to say anything in this area, but I just wanted to say thanks to everybody that's out there being patient with everything that's going on. Dusty, you have anything?
No, you pretty much covered all of the that important stuff. Just know that we understand what you're going through, and we're trying to do our best to find workarounds for things to help you out. So that's all I have.
Marty, you have anything?
Yes, Commander. Could you go over post it or possibly using GoFundMe's and explain to them what National's outlook is on that? And, you know, they can't stay up for 6 months and
Yeah.
so that kind of stuff. If you could cover that, I think that would be great.
Okay. Yeah. So what Marty had just mentioned, well, there's two things we should talk about. National has opened the idea of, for those posts that need financial resources, they've opened up the post relief fund for you to use to get through this time to help pay for bills or whatnot. So post relief fund is available. And a lot of our posts are out there doing GoFundMe pages and other fundraising opportunities. So just keep in mind that the bylaws are really strict in the area of fundraising, and that posts should only fundraise in their geographical boundaries. But during this time, the national organization is opening that up to these GoFundMe pages so that you can reach out to the community, reach out to your members if you need to raise some funds. But just keep in mind that the use of the relief fund and the use of GoFundMe pages or other electronic fundraisers, as soon as this pandemic is over, they're probably, that we're not going to be able to do that stuff. So it's good for right now. But keep in mind that it could end as soon as the pandemic stuff is over. The other thing that we're starting to have some issues on is a lot of our posts are asking their auxiliaries to help with some, paying of bills and things of that nature. The only thing I want to say is I would encourage every post to work with their auxiliary together to keep their post alive in whatever way you can. But please understand that the auxiliary does have some rules in expenditures of funds. So make sure before you launch any kind of fundraising ideas or any other kind of things with the auxiliary, make sure you get that approved through their channels. We're getting a lot of feedback on that right now. In that area, but and the other thing is, don't demand that your auxiliary provide funds to your post. Work together and come up with solutions on how to solve your problems, because we're getting some complaints in that area as well. So, but again, these things are open right now, but as soon as this pandemic's probably over, those things are going to go back to the strict rules on fundraising.
Okay, thank you, John. So next on the list is membership. Now, we've been stressing since July because of the pandemic, make sure that you are calling on your members to check on them, during this pandemic, because we do have folks who are being pent up and could use somebody to talk to just for mental health reasons, but also use this time to get out there and call your members that are expiring or who have expired, and try to get them re-engaged in your post. Today, post 2323, it was them that I sent the members at large expired list for the cities around their area. So if you have a post and you want the members at large expired list for your surrounding area, you just got to let me know which cities they are, and I can run a list specifically for your geographic area, so you can use that to try to go ahead and get your membership up. The other thing is, if you actually read the All-State membership program online on the new website, it talks about what qualifies as a membership event. And that includes calling your members to try to get them to renew their membership. So you just got to make sure you do those reports. Then into the system so you'll get that credit. John, did you want, I know membership is a huge thing, so I want to give time to you to talk about this also.
Yeah, I was gonna share my screen real quick. Let me see here. Here we go. Let me see. Maybe this is the wrong one though. Let me see here. The one that we need is, hold on a second. Go ahead. Keep talking, Ryder, while I figure out where this went.
You want me to do a song and dance?
Yeah.
No. So
Hey,
the one thing that National has been doing to all the department commanders, senior vices, and junior vices is every day they send out a report of where we're at with membership and where we were at last year in comparison. And so
There we
it's,
go. Yeah.
oh, okay.
Okay, so everybody can see that screen?
Confirm.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just go through this real quick, but as Roger said, every day that we get an email from National that basically talks about our membership and where we're at. So just to kind of give you a summary here. Last year we ended with 64,345 members. Our goal this year, as we put out in the All-State program, was 65,000. Currently, as of yesterday, we're at 56,000.
We'll have a drop-off box in the post.
And so we're about 83% of our goal, which is pretty good. When you break that down a little bit, we made monthly goals in our department, and our goal for October was 900 members. And as of yesterday, we have processed 383 members. So for the month, we're at 45.6% of our goal, which is, again, we're doing pretty good, given all the restrictions that we've had with our membership activities. Where we're at today this is what I want to kind of show you is, so in the blue numbers is where we ended last year. We had 1,500 or so new members, 408 reinstates, 146 new lives, and 76 continuous. And we had 54,600 or so life members. So we finished last year at 97.8% compared to the prior year. The items in black here are our comparison from October 13th of this current year, which was yesterday, and the same day last year in 2019. So what we're showing here is currently year to year through October 13th, we're 443 members behind. You could see that a lot of that is in the new and continuous area. We're ahead in life members and we're ahead in percentage compared to last year, but because we've been curtailed in our activities, we're a little bit behind in our new members, which is, it's explainable. But as Roger said, one of the things that the Commander-in-Chief has asked, and we ask each of our posts to do is, set up a a time to call all your members, just check on them, see how they're doing, and whatnot. So, this is how you guys can help. As VFW members, our most sacred responsibility is to look out for each other and our fellow veterans. So the idea is to reconnect and see who needs assistance, but they just don't know where to go. You can make these contacts any way that you can. You can do a personal visit. You can call them on the phone. You can email them or do a combination of all of it. Now, your post quartermaster should have access to OMS, which is on the national website, where you can download a current listing of your post members that will include, if they've listed them, an email address or a phone number. And, if you can do that, it's just important that we reach out to these folks and see what they're doing. If each post commander would call each of their members and at least get 2 members to renew their dues during this month in October, we will surpass that 443 that we're behind. So that's what we're asking. If you can do that, just get out there and call your members, try to get 2 or 3 of them to renew and check on them to see how they're doing. This is some information for you, how to conduct a telephone campaign. You can just, you gather a team, you get your list of unpaid members from your quartermaster. You can take that list and put it in a spreadsheet. You can divide that spreadsheet up by however many people are on your team. You give everybody a call list, start making calls. When you do that, make sure you thank the member and just, like I said, find out if they need anything. The other thing is they may ask questions like, well, how do I pay my dues? Well, the easiest way to do it is just click on this link right here, and it'll take you right to a page on the national website for the member to renew their dues. They put in their card number and their name, and then it just asks for financial information. The other thing that's important is leave your contact information in case there's they have any more questions, they could call you back. And there's other resources available on the national website that can help you. I don't know how many of you commanders are familiar with the OMS system, but you can log in there and get all kinds of information regarding membership programs. You can get speeches or anything related to community events or different programs. So there's a lot of information there for you. And so that's really all I had right on that, Roger. But just wanted to kind of give you a sense of where we're at. We're doing really well in membership, given the restraints that we have. So I applaud each of you for the work that you're doing. But if you can, again, reach out to your members and see how they're doing. We've been notified of a couple members who are in the hospital with COVID, and so we wouldn't know about those things unless we're reaching out to our members. So again, I just ask you to do that. Dusty, you got anything in this area on membership?
No, other than to stress how important it is to contact them, especially the ones that don't get opportunity to attend post meetings. One phone call to them can mean the world to them, just to hear that you care and you're thinking about them. So that's really important.
Yeah. And really, I looked at the statistics the other day, and we have several posts that only need 1 or 2, 3 members to reach their 100%. We have, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Roger, I think we have 5 state recruiters now that are out there that can assist in anything that you need, whether it's training somebody how to do a telephone campaign, do a recruiting event, or even just help you make those phone calls. We got one guy up in the north two in the middle part of the state, and we got several down south that can help. And also, if you don't know Tim Bryant, he's our department membership chair. You could also reach out to him and get any kind of list, unpaid list, or anything for your post if you need it. So we've got a lot of resources available for you. No, hey Marty, you got anything?
Yeah, I think each of us know at least one person that's eligible for the VFW. If we all approach that person, explain to them the benefits of being a member and what we actually do for our veterans throughout the United States, I'm pretty sure that we could get a new member out of them. And it's always nice that if one of your friends join your post, you know that everything else is, you're able to, converse and talk and gather your previous friends that you were in the military with because of this 22 a day issue. We get them into this group and we just, let them speak and let them talk. I find it very comforting to be in a post where I'm surrounded by vets that have the same or have had the same issues that I have. So invite them in, see if they're comfortable with it, and then explain the benefits of membership to them. And I think it might help them out a lot.
Thank you, Marty. The other thing too, and reaching our membership goals is not important in the for the All-State Program, All-American Program, is so much that it is more important that we maintain that strength in our legislative advocacy and other things that we do in the state. Now, we just sent a letter to the governor, basically asking him to allow our post to open. And, with 65,000 members behind, we have a little bit more clout. So part of that is, we want to we don't want to show that we're a declining organization when we try to do things legislatively or politically in this state. So again, just, we ask that you reach out, call your members, do what you can. If you need any help, feel free to reach out to your district commanders or even directly to our recruiters. You can get that information off our website or call up Roger in the department office, and he'll get you the right resources that you guys need.
The one thing to remember is you can recruit wherever you are. Dusty and I were in the hotel last year at the Junior Vice Adjutant training in Kansas City, and our Junior Vice Commander in Chief this year was there at the training and recruited a guy at the bar while we were sitting there after our training that first day. And today I happened to have a guy come in and park in our parking lot and went out to check on what was going on. And based on his demeanor, I asked him, are you a veteran? And he goes, yeah. And I go, did you serve overseas? And he goes, Afghanistan. And I said, well, you need to come back and talk to me about getting into the VFW. You may not have time right now because of work for getting involved in a post, but you should belong to the organization. So you never know where you're going to run into somebody. Recruit all the time when you're out there. Somebody, you'll see them wearing a hat, wearing a shirt, something that will clue you in. Recruit. Angela, I know you had your hand up waving a couple times.
I just had a comment. I know that myself and the quartermaster at Post 1981, what we did instead was we went into OMS, and maybe if OMS was a little bit more intuitive to people's birthdays, we built our entire cards list that we send out to all of our membership when it's their birthday, right? And that turned out to be extremely effective for us when we did this every single month. And we celebrate at our post every time we have a membership social. We celebrate with bottles of champagne, and so I think that to me, it sounds like a retention tool. I just wish that OMS was a little bit more user-friendly in trying to locate, I mean, because if we put all of their information in, then you would think we'd be able to search their birthdays and send a card, you know? Just my thoughts.
I think that's something we can ask for that information, Roger. If we
Yes.
send that note to National. That's
Yeah,
a great
they-
idea, Angela. Thank you.
They have the information available. It's just we have to do a separate IT request to get a list with the birth dates is all. So, okay, going on to point number 3, post commander obligations. So all post commanders should have at least a 2020 bylaw book. 2021 is coming out, but there's no changes. So you can still use the 2020 book. But in the bylaws, manual of procedure, section 218A1, it lists specifically what a post commander is responsible for. And guess what? You're responsible for everything at the post.
Mhm.
And then if you don't live up to your responsibilities, under section 220, the department commander can remove you for not for fulfilling your obligations. And I know we've got some of the district commanders who ask for 710s and ask for suspensions of posts. And we have found that that is a waste of time and a waste of money for the most part, is that we go in, we fix a problem, and within 6 months, the same problem arises. So what the state commander wanted to do, I believe you saw the preview of his slideshow, is to talk about the manual of procedure, section 218, specifically kind of what your duties are as the post commander. These are what you need to know to do your job. So with that, John?
Yeah, thank you, Roger. And Roger's absolutely correct. We have found, at least over the last couple of years, that we'll go in and, you know, we'll suspend a post and we'll do a 710 inspection because they're missing audits or something of that nature. But again, we tend to send in, you know, folks, comrades to go in and help solve the problem, but it doesn't alleviate the issue, because those same officers they go right back to what they weren't doing in the first place. So one of the things that we want to make sure is that when you know, all of you guys raised your hands and took the oath of office to be the post commander, and it's not all about hanging out in the canteen and getting everybody drinks and going to all the dinners and activities. There's a lot of responsibility involved with being a post commander, particularly when it comes to all the governmental rules that you have to follow and the obligations to protect your post organization. So if you just read this a little bit, if every post officer were familiar with their duties and responsibilities and their limitations and carried out their duties to the best of their ability, there would be very few squabbles within a post, and none which would require outside intervention. The National Manual of Procedures specifically lists certain duties for each officer, and then, you know, et cetera, et cetera. I'm only going to go over the commander duties right now, but I have the same slides for all the other positions if some of you guys are interested in it. But let's just look at the post commander. Among your duties, the first one, preside at all meetings of the post and conduct your meetings in accordance with the bylaws. As Roger mentioned earlier, you do have a requirement, whether it's via Zoom or, you know, in person or combination, you need to have monthly meetings. So that's very important. The other thing is, you want to enforce strict observance of the laws and uses of the organization particularly your department, district, and post bylaws, national bylaws. This next one, insist that post business and activities be conducted in such a manner that they do not violate any applicable governmental law, ordinance, or regulation, nor bring or tend to bring dishonor or embarrassment upon the post, its members, or the VFW. This one is kind of important given the pandemic that we're in, because a lot of your counties have put out rules on things that you can and cannot do. And some of our posts have been getting in trouble because they're not paying attention to the applicable government regulations, ordinances that are put in place. But the national organization or the department organization can't really help you in this area if you're not following the rules. So as post commander, make sure you understand what your county and your municipality says that you can and cannot do during this pandemic, because it's really up to you to make sure your post follows those rules. The next areas, you are the leader of the post, so you decide all the questions at that post level. Anything that comes up with during a meeting, you work with your folks, your judge advocate, or anybody else in your post, and you are the final say at the post level. So things that come up, things that need to be addressed, you are the post commander. So if you have any issues or questions or things, we have a lot of resources that can help there too. But just keep in mind, you should make yourself familiar with the bylaws if you haven't already done so. Just some other things here. When you became post commander, you appoint all your committee chairmen and things of that nature. Remember though, a commander may remove any appointed officers, chairmen, or committees at their pleasure, provided their post bylaws don't have restrictions. So if your post bylaws do not have restrictions on the way you appoint your committee chairman, you as post commander have the authority to remove at your pleasure. You should approve all disbursements of funds. There's several ways you can do that too. You could do it by signing each check, or you can, at the end of the month, review a list of vouchers or sign the check register, or however you do it. But you make sure that you are looking at every check or every disbursement that is leaving that post, because ultimately you are responsible should there be embezzlement or anything else. Make sure your quartermaster is bonded. That protects not only the quartermaster, it protects you as the commander, and it protects your post. These other two are just, national headquarters. Make sure you pay all your bills or money's due, and then assure that the reports are properly done in time. A lot of you did your election report. That's not so. This next one here, assure that the post trustees have examined the books and the records of the post and prepared the post trustees report of audit no later than the month following the last day of each quarterly period. Now, a lot of our post commanders don't realize this, but the post commander is responsible for making sure that the trustee report as audit is completed. Because it says here, your job is to assure that the post trustees have examined the books and records. That doesn't mean that the quartermaster fills out a trustee report, gives it to everyone, and has them sign it and then send it in. Your job is to make sure that they actually examine the books and the records. And one of the tips that I would give you is before you as the post commander sign off on that audit, one thing you should do is ask your post quartermaster for a copy of your checking account statements, just so that you can verify the balances that are listed on the report versus what's in the bank. So many times, quartermasters have basically embezzled funds because nobody is checking. So that is one way for you as a post commander, before you sign that document, because once you sign it, you're saying that it's true. You should verify by just checking that against the post or the checking account statements. The rest of this stuff is just sure that you attend all your district meetings or other meetings that are applicable, and you comply with all of the other rules of the bylaws. So again, summary: you're the key officer of the post. You preside at all meetings, you enforce the rules, you appoint committees, and your authority extends to the post home or club to the extent of enforcing the rules. Everybody has different rules on their canteens. Most have canteen funds or canteen club committees or house committees. Make sure that you kind of separate the two. House committee should run your canteens and post should run the post. You represent the authority of the post between meetings. And this last sentence is, you're not a dictator at the post. Although you are responsible, it doesn't mean you could walk in and, tell folks what they need to do, such as demand money from the auxiliary, tell the canteen manager to do things, whatever. So keep that in mind as well. You cannot order or permit the breaking of laws or supersede any authority of the committees. Again, was what I said with the club manager. You should be familiar with all the activities of the post. You should sit down with the trustees when they do their audit, or at least have the sufficient knowledge that they're doing their job. Again, check the bank statements. That's very important. You should attend all meetings of the House Committee in resolving any discrepancies. And you're the arbitrator of arguments. One of the things that we're going through a lot right now, and I think Dusty could talk a little bit about this, but we're instituting a zero tolerance harassment policy in all of our post homes and our officers. If a complaint happens at the post, it'll become the post commander's responsibility to follow the proper procedures to make sure that one, the complaint is fully investigated, and two, that it is resolved in a timely manner. So we're going to be sending out some information on that. But again, it says here the last thing, you're the arbitrator of rules, and you will have to be the judge on some of this stuff. So keep that in mind. And that's all I was going to do there. Dusty, you have anything on this?
No, but going to the policy that will be coming out, I'm sure, hopefully all of the post commanders have heard about our national commander's stance on the VFW is inclusive to all that are eligible. They're not tolerating any forms of harassment or discrimination. So we will be having this policy reviewed at our C of A coming up next week. So you will be seeing that soon.
The organization, and I don't know if many of you saw that, during the chief's acceptance speech, he talks about some of this, and that there are some talking points that are available for everyone out there if you want to look at them. But But again, racial bias must end. Discrimination will not be tolerated. Diversity amongst our ranks. All eligible veterans are invited to join. Disciplinary action is the proper for acts of discrimination. So this is where post commanders should brush up on, I believe it's Article 9 of the bylaws, to understand the process of initiating disciplinary action against a member who violates these areas. So we cannot treat others, we have to treat others with respect and dignity despite their gender, race, age, sexual orientation, or religion, all the normal stuff we all know from our workplace environments. And National has established a diversity committee to start looking into some of this stuff. But from our level, we get complaints all the time at the department headquarters. We'll get emails and phone calls from somebody that made some disparaging remarks or did something not appropriate at one of our post canteens. And then they asked the department to come down and solve that problem. What we're saying now is that's ultimately the responsibility of the post commander to ensure that your operations are being conducted appropriately. And if those things are happening at the post, if we get notified at the department, we are going to get the right information from the victim, and we're going to send it right back down to the post for that post commander to resolve. Now, if the post commander doesn't resolve it, then the post commander will be in just as much trouble as the person who committed the offense. So I would suggest, and this is not coming from the department. This is coming from our national organization. There's not going to be there's zero tolerance for this stuff. We get this stuff all the time. But again, I think you guys as commanders just become familiar with the process, and we'll be sending out information on here shortly on how the department process will work. But you might want to refer to the bylaws, national bylaws, Article 9 on disciplinary actions, just to come get up to speed on that. And Marty, you got anything?
Yeah, thanks, Commander. The way I kind of fashioned it when I was still in the military was, if somebody was speaking to your daughter, you could tell if it was unwanted because it bothered you. So if that's happening inside the post, and just use that gauge. If that person's speaking in a manner that you would not want them to speak to your daughter or your son, that's the gauge. That's the time to turn it off. Change is tough. Don't get me wrong. And some members are a little bit harder headed than most. But not saying that they're not all willing to change and to do the things that they're supposed to do. I just think that a safe environment should be provided for a husband and wife or a boyfriend or girlfriend to be able to go into, or whoever to go into our canteens and enjoy themselves without any kind of harassment. And that needs to be said from the top down at each post. It's not going to be tolerated. And I suggest that when we put the policy out from the department, that you post it in a predominant place and make sure that everybody understands from the post auxiliary, if you have one, and the post membership. Thanks, Commander.
Thank you, Murray.
Okay, so Art, you have your hand up.
Yeah, this could easily tear a post apart. Sadly, we are in a time frame where it seems like some people get offended by almost everything. And I can see a situation where one post member wants to wear a Black Lives Matter t-shirt, and another post member comes in with an All Lives Matter t-shirt and is told that he's offensive. And the next thing you know, you've got, as I said, you've got a post being torn apart. So this has to be handled, I think, very, very carefully.
So the policy will specifically talk about what is discriminatory behavior and what is harassing behavior. So when you look at it, you need to use those guidelines as to what is considered a complaint, if that makes sense. It'll be easier once you actually see the policy. Okay, Art? Okay. All right.
As I think what the commander just said about, folks you might have folks wearing, Republican shirts versus Democrat shirts, or All Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, whatever it is. But as long as everyone is able to express their personal feelings without having, conflict, that's the way the VFW wants it done. But again, you as the post commander need to set that example. And, quickly, if you hear about things like that, you quickly have to deal with those things so that the membership knows that the stance that we're taking as an organization, that we all served in the military, we all know the reasons, and the things that we fought for, and blah blah blah. That one of them is the free speech. So we should not be the ones that are having these same arguments within our own ranks. So just be cognizant of those things and deal with them as appropriately as you would at your post home, given the mindset of the organization.
Okay.
Hopefully that helps.
Emilio, you have your hand up, sir.
Yes, sir. Hello, everyone. Don Diego, Post Commander here, 7420 San Diego. I think with this subject, it's a very touchy subject for a lot of people. But we all have common sense. We know what's right. We know what's wrong. We do come from military backgrounds, so we do have thick skin, but a lot of other people don't. With that, understand that we do have family members that come around. We do have wives, we do have daughters, we do have kids. We do have all that. So yeah, we need to be proactive with our members and make sure that everybody's acting correct. If people get out of line, yeah, it's got to get nipped in the butt real fast. I know, I've had issues like this in the past at my post, not only with racial bigotry, but also with sexual harassment. So yeah, I know where everyone's coming from. And I think, those articles that are going to get incorporated, I think that's going to be a good thing for our organization and for our individual posts. Yeah, it's hard to go ahead and not discriminate, but to discipline a member, but that's part of our job and that's what we got to do. So we got to do what we got to do, regardless of whose feelings get hurt or whose feelings don't. And I agree totally with the direction we're headed in with this. That's all I got to say, sir.
Yeah. And as commanders, again, sometimes you might have to set aside your personal views on something and just kind of resolve the situation. And don't, as a commander, because you're the leader of your post, make sure you don't get intertwined into those conflicts, because you have to be the arbitrator. So you make sure you got to keep yourself separate from getting involved in those types of issues. So,
all right. So now we are nearing the 7 o'clock hour. So we are going to go on to the Office of the Attorney General, Registry of Charitable Trusts. So there's been a question that has been kind of battered around back and forth concerning filing RRF1s, who has to, who doesn't have to. We put out some documentation about it. So the two ways that we can incorporate is either a mutual benefit corporation or a public trust corporation. And there's a difference in what they're allowed to do, and how it should be handled. So I gave you the link to the Attorney General's Guide on Charities. One thing that Commander Lowe has just brought up is the nonprofit corporate forms, the public benefit, the mutual benefit. What we're concerned about is some posts may have gone over to become mutual benefit corporations just so they don't have to file the RRF1. And so know that there is a distinct difference about using public money in raising public money if you're a mutual benefit corporation. And we are in the process right now. I've made some contacts with the Secretary of State's office about our articles of incorporation and restated articles of incorporation. I know that some of you have had some growing pains at your articles, even though you followed the template, they were rejected by the Secretary of State's office, but yet some of them have passed. And so I'm trying to work with them to come down with standardized language that they will accept at all levels and get them to pass that word along. So with that, I'm going to yield to the state commander to talk about the charitable trusts.
This document here, comrades, as post commanders, as I said earlier, you're responsible to make sure that your post follows all of the applicable laws at the federal, state, local levels. That doesn't mean that your quartermaster does all these things. I mean, he could do them or she can do them, but ultimately, as the post commander, it's your responsibility. That's why we are promoting that. As post commanders, or actually, if you're interested, quartermasters should probably look at some of this too. But this document called the Attorney General's Guide for Charities is one of the best documents that will help you as a post commander navigate all the things that you have to do. So this thing's 115 pages long, but we're not going to go into all that. I just wanted to point out the issue with the public and mutual benefit that Roger just talked about. So under California law, a public benefit corporation, meaning all of our posts that are 501c19s for the most part, or some of them are 501c3s, should be formed as a public or for charitable purposes. And what that means is that the benefit of the gains or the charitable receipts cannot be distributed to any one person. And then for all the other rules regarding charitable status, if you're going to be out soliciting funds, you want to be known as a public benefit corporation. Mutual benefit corporations are often organized for the benefit of their members. Typically like private homeowners associations, private clubs, like other business clubs and trade professional associations. But we as an organization, because we solicit a lot of funds from the general public, just keep in mind when you look at your incorporation documents, make sure that you're a public corporation. And then the only other part of this that I wanted to pay attention to is Chapter 6, and we'll go here. So Chapter 6 just kind of goes over the reporting requirements. And many of you are aware of the 990. So we're not going to talk about that. There's the 990 T and some other things, but the 990 is important to make sure you do that every year. You have on the state side, you have the equivalent to the 990, which is the 199. A lot of our posts file the 990, but they don't take care of the state equivalent, and a lot of our posts are losing their state exemption as well as their federal exemption. So, you want to look at this 199, be familiar with it. The other thing is, if you have property taxes, you want to make sure you file all the things that are applicable there. The thing I wanted to point out is property tax welfare exemption. You work that out with your county, and if some of you have post homes, you can become exempt on your property tax if you file the proper paperwork every year. For those that have canteens, or those that rent their halls, or those that have food operations, you need to pay attention to the sales tax rules. That's all that information is here for you. Every year, the Secretary of State's office, because you're an exempt organization in California, and you must file what's called the SI 100. And basically what that does is it lists your commander, your quartermaster, and your adjutant as the official people of that post in case you get sued or other kind of issues that the state knows who to go after. So that's a form that you have to do. I would suggest that you send this form in at the same time that you do your election report. Just a good idea to make yourself a little checklist that says, send in your SI 100 when you do your post-election report. That takes care of that. And then this last one is the Attorney General's Registry of Charitable Trusts. Now, every charity in California, if you're soliciting funds, whether you're doing bingo or you're doing other kind of solicitations, GoFundMe pages, any kind of those types of things, you need to be registered with the Attorney General's office. And you do that through this form called a CT1, initial registration. And then every year after that, annual reporting is the RRF1 form. It's a very simple form. It basically asks you how much money you made in revenue and how much money you have in the bank. And you send it in with a small fee, $10 to $15, $20, whatnot, and you send that in every year. So this document, as I said, is very helpful. You could go to the Attorney General site and download it, but I would, urge you as post commanders to have a copy of this available to you, that you can sit down with your quartermaster and just, double check to make sure your post is compliant with all these things, because we're finding that a lot of our posts are not. We can help out wherever we can, but if we don't know about it, we can't help. So we're just asking that as post commanders, because that's part of your responsibilities to be familiar with this and look into it to make sure that these things are getting done.
One thing I wanted, am I unmuted? Oh, shoot. Okay. One thing I wanted to also talk about real quick, John, is remember with the RRF1, the Attorney General is requiring the CTTR1 be filed also if you're filing your RRF1. Mm-hmm. So make sure you file both of those with the Attorney General's office. So I'm going to take some questions real quick. Art, I'm going to get to you in just a second. Chris Ingram had his hand up first. Chris? You might be on mute.
I am. I'm mute challenged. So, isn't all these forms that you guys are talking about, isn't this part of the post inspection program?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's our next topic, actually.
Sorry, jumped the gun.
You must be Army.
Nope. I'm a Marine through and through. So with the 990 and the 199, there's websites if you. District commander sent out to, I know, District 1.
Chris, you're breaking up really bad. We lost your sound altogether. No, you're still, it's just fuzzy.
A lot of static.
No. Gentlemen. Is there a way that you can go ahead and type it in comments and we'll come back to it? Art, go ahead with your question.
Okay, we may have to take this offline, but let me see if I can share my screen and show you what. Lordy. Okay. Let's see. Okay, this is a web, if it comes up, this is a web page from the state of California AG.
Correct.
Listing charitable organizations, including my post. And if I click on this link here, I get this. And then if I click on exemption documents, it says we don't have to file an RRF1.
If you look right up above, up to the top, that screen where it says entity type, it says that you're a mutual benefit. That's why you're not required to file the RRF1.
Okay. We are whatever we have been since 1946.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have mutual benefit and public benefit both, not everybody. For instance, my post and 4 others in our district are public benefit. Everybody else is mutual benefit.
Okay.
Okay. So if I can get you to
I've heard about this distinction, so I'm going to have to do some research.
Yeah. If you go back to that handbook that I just brought up for you, the Attorney General's Guide, section 1 on page 3 gives you a breakdown of the difference between the two and which one that you should be if you're going to be a charitable organization.
Okay. Chris, did you get your mic working again so you can finish your question? No.
Try
Okay.
it without the headset, maybe. Speak into your computer speaker.
No. Okay. Well, he's working on that. Lamont, you have your hand up, sir. Lamont, are you on mute? I don't have you on my screen, so I'm not sure if you're talking.
I was pushing my space bar, it wasn't working. Good evening, everyone. Listen, I will comment on the post inspection as it deals with 990 that Chris was starting to speak about. But I do want to make sure that you know, if you if you are required to file a RRF1, but you just file an electronic, in other words, a 990N and a 199N, it used to be, that's it. You didn't have to file anything else. Now that's where that CTR1 comes in. They want to know more information. even though you're under 50 grand in income. So that's new. That's a new wrinkle.
Thank you, Lamont. Chris, you still no good on your,
He said
Yeah.
that Lamont got his question answered in the chat.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, so we have just a little bit of time. I want to quick talk about post inspections. And this has come up now in this piece. And that is pencil whipping an inspection versus actually looking at the documents. So those that are going out in your districts and inspecting posts, and you're not seeing the documentation when you're doing the inspection, then you are doing a disservice to that post if they have not filed their proper paperwork. For instance, I am aware of a post that I think they've passed their post inspection every year for the past 10 years, and they actually hadn't filed their taxes like in the last 12 years. And they know they're working on the issue. But the fact is that this post has been inspected and the inspector never brought it up. So you've got to remember, the post inspections aren't a gotcha. It's just supposed to make sure that you are doing what you're supposed to be doing in order to keep your tax exempt status with the IRS and with the state. So don't think of the post inspections as a gotcha as much as it is. Just make sure that the post is doing what they should do so they don't get themselves into trouble and have to pay a bunch of fines and back unpaid taxes. So
Roger, one of the things I was going to add to that, what you just said, one of the things that happens usually when the department usually finds out a lot of this stuff is when we look at the inspections, past inspections, and then when a quartermaster typically changes at the post level. Sometimes post quartermasters have been around for years, and then they, whatever happens and you switch. That's when usually we find out about a lot of this stuff. So when you take over as post commander, one of the first things you should do is just make sure all these things are being taken care of. Maybe another way to help just take a post inspection reform for yourself and go ask your questions yourself. Do a self inspection to see, if everything is there. It's another way to protect yourself as the post commander, because again, you're ultimately responsible. Typically, if you can be removed from this position for not fulfilling these duties. Now, it's the last thing that we want to do as the department, but just keep that in mind, because you are the ultimate responsibility. So that's another way, just to double check. Just go grab yourself an inspection form and do a self inspection. Make sure you have a binder of these things that either your adjutant or quartermaster has it stored at the post home. So when the inspector does come, all of your materials are right then and there. And basically, like Roger said, the inspection is not something that you should be avoiding. It's actually a learning process especially for a lot of the new commanders, to make sure that, things are happening the way they need to be done. And if there's any discrepancies, that's just something that, gives you an idea of what you need to focus on and try to get those fixed before the end of your year. So I think the inspection is actually a good thing that we go through. But again, as Roger said, we're finding a lot of things where we're aware that some inspections are done over the phone in some districts. And they just, they check the blocks and send the form in. But but that's only hurting you guys as the post commanders. You should really take this stuff seriously. And that's the only point that I wanted to make.
Okay, so I've got 3 questions. I got Andy, then Lamont, and then post 67. So Andy?
Hey, how you guys doing? This is Andy. I'm with post 10577 down here in Oceanside. We do not have a canteen. We actually meet out of the Elks Lodge. But just a couple of points that I just wanted to mention. My post in particular, I just took over this year, first time as a post commander. I was the junior vice. But for some reason, our senior vice, he had some personal issues, and I was elevated to post commander. I want to say that the median age of my post is probably between 65 and 70 years old. Vast majority are Vietnam veterans. Vast majority are just, older people that have been, doing this for a very, very long time. And so the fact that we have been unable to do any of these poppy drives, certainly don't want to put any of our members in risk. They're in this, high risk category with several underlying conditions and so on and so forth, that there's just no opportunities to do that. But to your point, we have been trying to be somewhat creative. And one of the issues one of the things that we've been trying to do is to sign up with Amazon as well as Facebook to do some of the fundraising. However, Amazon and Facebook won't talk to us or won't touch us because we're 503c19s and not 501c3s. So I don't know if there's something that we can. You're shaking.
Yeah.
I guess that's a no.
That came up in the national training we had this past weekend because one of the new department AQs is trying to use TechSoup. And a lot of the companies, their policy is that they only deal with C3s and don't understand the C19s. So it was asked to national on trying to do a campaign to some of these companies so they understand what a 501c19 is to see if we can't get them to change. But until those boards actually change their policies for those companies, we're kind of stuck.
Got it. Well, the other thing, I was glad to hear about the GoFundMe because that's the other thing that we thought about. But our quartermaster, being as diligent as he is, I think he was operating off of legacy information. He showed us the old regulation, I guess, that basically says that any fundraising has to be maintained locally, and GoFundMe basically is not local. And so
That's
I'm glad to hear
new.
that.
Yeah, that was new, approved by national due to the pandemic.
Perfect. Okay,
So,
perfect.
Okay.
And the last question I have is, we have been doing as soon as this pandemic hit, we immediately switched over to doing our Zoom meetings. So right from the get-go, we've been doing Zoom meetings. However, we've been recording, just like you're recording this meeting here. We've been recording these, and I started to send them off to our membership, just to even to reach out to the people that normally couldn't come for whatever reason. That way they could listen to it on their own time, watch it on their own time, and hopefully encourage them to participate more. But then I got pushback by, again, our quartermaster saying that because we discuss our during the quartermaster report, go over some of the financials, he pushed back on me and said that I'm breaking our bylaws, that we're not supposed to be sharing financial information, even though the bylaw basically says that, that we, it doesn't say yes or it doesn't say no, but it does say that as long as we're sharing information within the post, meaning that we have verified our membership, so we verify email addresses and so on and so forth. it shouldn't be an issue. I wanted to get your take on it.
Well, if the Post has a good website, you should be posting your financial information on the website so your members can see it anyway if they want. So
Tried that. You answered my question. I tried that. He says that, you know, even on the website is less, I guess, less secure because other people can see it or whatnot. But you answered my question.
And the Chinese are watching what you're doing with your money. Okay, so
thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it.
I
Hey,
think,
and Chris,
Andy, I
Chris,
think
Semper
that
Fi.
as long as you, if you're emailing that information out, you know, it's just like mailing a copy of your budget out to every member. As long as you know that you're sending it to a member, you should be all right.
Yeah, and we did. We went through, that's one of the first things we did is went through our entire roster and verified phone numbers and email address because, you know, this new way of conducting these meetings, we wanted to make sure that we're reaching out to everybody. So
And the other way you can handle that is just send your members a copy of the minutes of the meeting.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
Andy,
thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
all right, Lamont and then Post 67, Jake.
Okay, what I wanted to mention is that during inspection, we all know it's supposed to be a show and tell. If you don't have it, then it's marked that you don't have it. When it comes down to like the 990s and 199, when it asks, when was the last one filed? And so they tell you, and you're supposed to show you. Well, that's really not a problem. And I'm not saying y'all is cheating, but I can fill one out and say, yep, there it is. You don't know what it was actually filed. So my suggestion is all inspectors that what they do is they have the Post EIN numbers. They have the, if they're doing the RRF, they have the CT number, and they should have their franchise tax board number. It takes you like 5 minutes to go onto the FTB business search, 5 minutes to go onto the IRS nonprofit search, all that information, including the Attorney General. Everything is there, especially the Attorney General, because a lot of times they even have the forming documents. And they also have the latest returns that they may actually have. So this will tell you, no, you haven't filed. And I'm just saying that's as clear a backup as you can possibly have. I'm done. Get off my soapbox. John, you're laughing.
Sorry, I was on mute. Jake from Post 67 had a question.
Thank you, comrade. My question is satisfied. Take care.
Okay. Dave Kuda, you have your hand up, sir. Dave, I think you're on mute.
Yeah, spacebar wasn't working to release it. Okay. So in reference to Andy O's issues he brought up, I just wanted to suggest that in the course of doing fundraising for the Post or for military units that I've supported, one of the things on the C19 versus a C3 fundraising, as you already highlighted, most corporations have board policies that they only know about C3 because that's what their CPAs have told them. But it's if you want to do fundraising outside of a corporation, which means in your town, in businesses that do, look for tax exemptions, tax deductions, then you need to educate them and show them where you can go on to the IRS site, look up the C19 filing, which tells them exactly that everything is deductible for C19. And once you give them a copy of that or show them that, you should be able to get companies to donate to you, because that's what I've done in the past. I don't go after corporations because they got to change their board and I don't have all that time. So just a thought for you there for Andy O as far as that goes.
Okay, thank you. And Emilio. Oh.
Yeah, I'm here, sir. With the same thing for Andy O. I do have a canteen at my post, so I believe I could assist you with that if you wanted to have a poppy drive. But the only thing is that you would have to come to San Diego for that. If that is okay with the state commander, I don't think there should be an issue or problem with that.
Nope. Try to get help wherever you can.
So if that's what you want to do, sir, can you get at me online, offline, or you can contact me directly. I don't have an issue with that, but I'm in San Diego, Don Diego, Post 7420.
Thanks, Emilio. Appreciate it.
And let me point out too, give a little shout out to District 1 because they're, of course, it's my district, but out of a lot of those posts down there are really working outside the box. And I want to give the district commander a lot of kudos right now. She's really doing a good job down there with some of these things. And if you want to learn how to do a virtual buddy poppy drive or do some other kind of fundraising or other things to help your post, reach out to Paula Jensen, the District 1 commander, and she'll spend hours with you on trying to help you get through some of your situations. I do want to give a good shout out to Paula. She's doing a great job.
Well, and also you guys need to be looking at, we keep saying we can't do the buddy poppy drives, but I do see reports coming in of people doing them. In my post during the 9/11 weekend, we spent 2 days. We did half the amount of areas coverage, but we still made $3,000 in 2 days doing buddy poppies. We had the equipment there, the PPE equipment, they wore masks, etc. And actually, people were giving more money than they normally do just because of the situation. So, where you normally do your buddy poppy drives, ask the business if they would have a problem if you set up. As long as you kept the social distancing, you can get the styrofoam and put your poppies in the styrofoam so people can take them off of there to keep some distance. There are ways you can still do a regular buddy poppy event in the public and be out there. Folsom is a prime example. We were still dead set in the middle of COVID, and Walmart let them sit at the exit door. And I think they made something like $1,500 in one day. So just double check with your businesses if they'll allow you to get out there. And then if you have members who don't have a problem, you can still get out there and make that interaction with the communities. All right. And so with that, it is 7:32. John, did you want to do a quick question and answer if anybody has anything else?
We can. We could also, if you'd like, you could send those questions in to Roger, and we could set up another call to spend some specific time on those issues. But again, all I want to say is I thank you for joining us. It looks like there's 70 folks here. I know there's 5 or so from the department, so that's a good showing that at least a good third of our post commanders are on this call. But again, we're here to help. We want to get through these times that we're going through, and we want to provide you all the resources you need to be successful at your job as post commander. And I'll just offer the floor to Dusty now, and then Marty, and see, maybe we close this up.
Okay, so I want to thank everybody that attended, and I hope this was of benefit to you. I think going forward, doing these a little more often would benefit all of us. We need to be able to keep in touch. One of the things that I think we also need to remember is that we're all one team. We should be supporting each other in our districts. Some of the districts do post hops and they go support another post meal or things like that. You know, if you have a question as commander, don't just let it roam around in your head. Reach out to somebody. Your district commander, you can reach out to me and we'll try to get you the answer that you know, that will hopefully point you in the right direction. So thank you for all you're doing. We know it's hard, but we're here for you. Thank you.
What about Marty? You have anything to say?
Thanks, Commander. I'm from District 7, Post 2805. I am available to each and every one of you at any time. I'll put my phone number in the chat section, but I'll say it now. It's 805-479-6944. I will help any way I can, any post commander that gives a call. And if you have a question, please reach out. If I don't have the answer, I'll ask Dusty. If Dusty doesn't have the answer, I'll ask the commander. And then when all else fails, I ask Roger. So it's nice that you are all here, and I appreciate it. Hopefully we get more people on the next meeting and learn more about what we're supposed to be doing and how we're supposed to be doing it. Commander Roger, it was a great setup. I learned a lot, so thank you very much. Dusty, it's always great to see you.
And so, hey, the last thing I want to say is last year's commander, you know, Mike Kuznick, and when Lamont was commander, we promised going forward that it's not a my year, you wait your turn type of thing. So last year we worked as a team, Mike, myself, and Dusty, and this year me, Dusty, and Marty are on the phone, sending emails, doing chat, Zoom calls all the time, trying to figure out the best ways to provide assistance to all you guys. So make sure at the post level you do the same thing with all your officers. Keep everybody on the same page. It's you know, they talk about mentorship. They talk about all these things. The only way to do it is make sure the people behind you know just as much as you do. So if something happens to you or you move along down the road, everything will be taken care of. So make sure that it's not a this is my year, you do what I want kind of thing. No, we're a team. We're all doing the same stuff. So especially what Dusty just said, and we're doing that this year. And then Roger is instrumental in corralling all his cats all the time, trying to keep us on the same page. So again, you should do the same thing at your post levels.
Okay, with that, the last thing, you know, let's leave with membership. National does a membership Monday every month, one Monday. The schedule is in OMS, plus they record it. So please take advantage of that. Look at the recordings or join the actual training if you have time. They cover some good topics. With that, I'd like to thank everybody. Oh, Dusty's got her hand up.
I just wanted to say that I noticed there was a question in chat about where they find the recording for this. Are you going to send that out to them?
Yeah, I had replied back that I am going to try to post the recording on the website. I may have to
Okay.
ask Paula her expertise, but we're going to actually try to put this in the members only section.
And I could
Okay.
send out, and also I could send out any of those resources I shared on the screen too, if it's helpful to any of you too. Just let us know.
Okay. And then, so with that, again, thank you, everybody. I need the District 7 commander and Marty to stay on. Everybody else, have a great rest of your week, and I'll be talking to you soon.
And to answer Cecil's question, yes, I'll see you on Saturday, Cecil.
You have a
See
good
you
evening,
guys,
gentlemen.
District 1.
Semper Fi.
Hoorah!
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Semper Fi.
Semper Fi.
Anchors away. Go Navy.
District 9 away.
No Arby.
Go Army! Go Army!
Whatever.